Wildfires are devastating to communities throughout the country. However, their original purpose was to be helpful. One research facility discovered fires can still burn without taking communities down with them. It smells like a smoldering fire, times 20, in the depths of the forest in southern Oregon. The remnants of the Bootleg Fire still sensitive to the senses, and now at the forefront of research.
It's just an amazing place to be able to welcome people into the ecosystem that they're studying.
Miles and miles into these trees, you'll find researchers testing and studying wildfire activity.
We are out here in the Big Coyote Fuels Treatment Area, Sycan Marsh Preserve, owned and managed by the Nature Conservancy.
Katie Sauerbrey is the acting fire manager and preserve manager.
The stand around us that we're walking through is kind of a model of what forest restoration and trying to create forest resiliency can look like.
She also fought fires like the Bootleg on the front lines.
The fire went from, in a lot of ways, some of the most extreme fire behavior I've witnessed in my fire career.
That's when she says she saw the success of their work in real time.
This kind of rip-roaring fire through the crowns had come across the creek and had burned into an area that we treated with prescribed fire in 2019, and it was burning on the forest floor, and I cheered. I got out of my truck and I was cheering.
A prescribed burn is set intentionally and under close monitoring for forest management.
You have the bunch grasses, you have this pine litter.
They reduce the density of the forest and clean up the forest floor.
You have inches and inches of this combustible material. That's going to create flame.
This preserve is a living laboratory.
We've learned things about both the forest, the vegetation, the conditions that, previously did not exist in the scientific literature.
Treated in some areas, untouched in others.
It looks dramatically different from where we just were.
The Bootleg Fire is the most recent example of just how crucial those prescribed burns are to this ecosystem.
Green on one side, black on the other.
If all of a sudden you're in a stand like this, where this is all the fuel that the fire has, you're looking at your flame lengths that are going to be this high, right?
Think of it as putting a lid on a pot of boiling water.
These forests are used to burning roughly every 13 years, and that acts as that kind of reset switch in the system. If you put out every fire for 100 years, you've missed 10 cycles that should have come through that forest stand.
It's a change in our society that's creating the change in our environment.
Steve Rondeau is the Natural Resources Director for the Klamath Tribes.
There was a time when the tribes lived on these lands and managed them, and they used fire to do that.
He, along with Rorik Paget, a fire management officer with the U.S. Forest Service, work with the Nature Conservancy on these efforts. Their main goal? To allow Mother Nature to mostly control wildfires, while also protecting communities.
It's definitely a gut punch when you look at the areas that are devastated by the fire.
They say if fire suppression efforts don't change, the devastation will only get worse.
How many times can we have that happen and still have a forest left?
He says the answer is not many more, which is why they feel their discoveries made by combining wildfire science with traditional tribal knowledge can be implemented on a much bigger scale.
Kind of this mechanical thinning followed by prescribed fire, we can do that around communities to create buffers around them so that when we do have those wildfires in the summer, it essentially creates kind of a safe space or a catcher's mitt so that we can hopefully protect those communities.
In Southern Oregon, I'm Jessie Cohen reporting.